I feel as if the mother of the child is escaping a great deal of
pressure.
scrutiny. Individuals until they reach age 18, past that too, but at least until age 18, they're your responsibility. The safety, you don't want to be a helicopter parent, but the safety is your responsibility. The people who seem to be more upset with the woman who they felt should have pursued the child, as opposed to the person who's the primary caregiver, I can't understand that.
I tell people the easiest part of minding children is providing for them financially.
To me, abortion is a simple issue. I don't see that there can be a moral argument for killing a human being. Listen, I know everywhere has its problems, but you can't help but feel as if Trinidad and Tobago, for some way that they always saying blessed and favored by God, I starting to feel like Satan running things wrong.
Hey, welcome back. It's the Alternative Perspectives podcast. Naldo and
Jude.
Yeah, remember if you're looking for us, we shorten the name to The App 868. So the A as an alternative, P as perspective podcast, right? P, right. 868 because that's where we're from. That's where we represent Trinidad and Tobago. The land of crime and corruption.
You're representing TNT. You're giving yourself that pips, boy. That what we doing out here?
Yeah.
I just represent myself, bro.
All right. We'll be speaking from.
Yes, right. So you can know where you're coming from.
Right. Yes.
Don't give me all that responsibility.
Yeah, boy. So the giveaway is still on. Just a few more subscribers. I really didn't check it, so I just go and see just a few more subscribers. It's probably past 500. I'm not too sure. I don't think so. I checked it yesterday, day before yesterday, and it was about 8 or 9 away. So the giveaway is on at 500 YouTube subscribers, and you're gonna win yourself a pair of earbuds, true wireless earbuds. Anything else, boy? Remember to go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and whatnot, and rate the podcast. Give it a quick rating, and press on.
Yeah,
the app 860. Look for it out there, and handle scene proper.
Nice.
We want to jump into probably one of the hottest topics right now in TNT, one of the biggest debates that are going on right now in Trinidad and Tobago, where we talk about the situation with the young boy, Kimani.
Yeah.
Right? A young boy who apparently left his home. And I don't even know how to give this story, because we heard a story where they say a neighbor saw him in the road and contacted the police. He was barefoot in a Pampers and contacted the police. That's the first story we heard, right? So then everybody was like, well, how did the neighbor just see the child in the road and just call the police? The neighbor do not know, whatever the case may be. Then the neighbor in a Facebook Live with, I would say, an independent journalist called Delilah. I don't know if she could be categorized as that, but I think...
I have no idea who that is.
Serious?
No.
Why?
A citizen journalist?
It could, yeah.
Okay.
I think you call it that. Is it different between an independent journalist and citizen journalist?
Well, when you say independent journalist, you kind of give the idea that the person is a professional.
Okay.
By that I mean they make their living as a journalist. They don't work for a corporation. But a citizen journalist is just any random person that documents something that has happened.
Right, so I guess she would more or less be a citizen journalist.
Right.
And she spoke with the neighbor, and in this interview, the neighbor was saying, no, she didn't just call the police. She saw the child. She was in the kitchen bubbling a pot. At that time, when she saw the child in the road and seemed to be alone, she went and she notified her husband. She told her husband, and the husband like, nah, somebody probably out there with the child. Oh, to beat up over there. To watch nothing. Right? And she's like, no, she's not leaving her. Just so she take off her pot off the fire and she proceeded to walk behind the child. Is the story she gave. She said, but the child had already gained some distance ahead of her.
Yeah.
And she walked behind the child, and in trying to, I guess, hold the child, whatever, realized she wasn't catching up. She decided to call the police, notify the police that, hey, listen, apparently this toddler is astray on the road here. She also said, at that point, while chasing the child or in pursuit of the child, that she didn't know who child it was.
Right, yes. She didn't immediately recognize who the child
Right?
was.
She
yes.
didn't immediately recognize the child or who child it was.
Right.
She eventually they reach a T-junction. Well, the child reached the T-junction before her. By the time she reached the junction and looked in the direction in which the child went, child was nowhere to be seen.
She said that it was on her way back to her home that the police arrived on the scene.
Right.
So I guess she made that clear because she wanted, for those who thought she didn't make any attempt to intervene, if it could be proven that the police actually did encounter her on her way back from trying to pursue the child, then it kind of gives some credibility to the story.
Right. Yeah. And at that point, didn't know the police were knocking, based on what she's saying, the police were knocking door to door to find out if anybody missing a child. It so happened that one of the first houses they went to, that person then looked and realized that the child, based on what she's saying, that the child was missing. Right? So that is how they knew it was this child in question.
Yes.
Coming out of all that drama, we saw they threw bottles, big stones, and whatnot at her
a number of projectiles.
House. People on social media have been bashing her, coming and going. That is the neighbor, at least.
Yes.
Right? Saying that it's her fault. She could have done more. Right? She's saying she was unable to walk to catch the child because she's a bit unhealthy.
You mentioned that we found the child was found dead?
Right, no, I didn't mention that.
Okay, all right. Well, that's why people are so angry.
All right, yes. So the child was found there the day after.
Yes.
Right? By a river.
Yes.
And of course, I don't know how come they didn't do the autopsy to the
Guapo River, yeah.
How come they didn't do the autopsy though?
I don't know. They haven't conducted the autopsy.
But I didn't see no.
Well, they might not have reported it yet. Might not been reported on yet. But they would. Yes, they would have to do an autopsy because of that.
I just thought it would have happened already. You know,
well,
unless they have a backlog and
it probably did. I think they would prioritize that, so it probably would have been done. It may not have been reported on yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess right now we're waiting to see the results of the autopsy to see if the child really drowned.
Right.
We have the hunters saying that
they scoured that area.
And based on their skill level, if there was a child there, they would have found the child.
Yes.
So they are alluding to,
insinuating that the child was not always there.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's some videos that came out where the mother, well, when they were searching the night before and the mother was screaming and bawling the child name, somebody was like, hey, look, I hear the child answer. Right? And then they were like, the child across so, look in the wrong direction, the child across so.
Right.
And what the guy was saying, the next day, the same guy who captured that video, the next day, he said, in the same area which he heard the child answer to the mother, is the same area in which they end up finding the child.
Right.
So I think, there's a lot of pieces.
Stories.
There are a lot of pieces to this story.
And there's also the insinuation that there was some sort of malice between the...
Well, it's not a matter of insinuation. The girl...
Well, she admitted that they had problems in the past, but there's... The insinuation now is that they still have beef.
Oh, they still have some beef.
Yeah, there is some animosity between the two of them.
Right? Mm-hmm. My thing is, and the big question that we face today is, and we're not talking about legally, because this girl, clearly she doesn't, which is the neighbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly she don't understand law, and because the citizen journalist asked her if she would hold herself accountable, and she said yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that is something I would have said. I don't hold myself accountable. Do I feel a bit...
Well, what she would mean by that is that she now knowing that the child has gone missing, because at that time I don't think they had found anybody yet when she said it, right? Knowing now that the gravity of the situation, she probably feels a little bit responsible, morally responsible. Maybe she feels like she could have attempted to run. Maybe she was holding back because of whatever injury, but if she had known it was such a dire situation, she would have, taken the pain.
I'm still not going to say that I feel accountable, boy. I think accountable
I mean,
is
there's no insurance. There's no accident on the road where if you admit to liability, it causes. No, I mean, obviously, you probably shouldn't say that, but it's not going to make a big difference. You know, if she's to be held liable for that, criminally liable, then the elements of that offense have to be proven.
Well, I know, but my thing is, obviously, she by that statement alone, she can't be held, right?
No.
But because obviously we have some other insinuations now.
Right. Well, and if there's evidence to suggest that is the case, then that is what she has to be more worried about, as opposed to what she said to the person on the
right.
day.
I just wouldn't feel comfortable, and I mean,
I think she probably would have said that too because, you know, she wanted to. She knows how people are looking at her. She probably decided to respond to talk to whoever the citizen journalist was because she wanted to kind of clear her name in a sense because she knew she saw the vitriol that was coming her way.
No, but
so to kind of calm that down, she wanted to kind of express some contrition.
But here was my thing about this, right? And today I saw a video of her walking like yesterday or today, the girl, right? And she didn't seem to have any sort of handicap.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So, but all the people and them down there, somebody shoots a video. I don't think that the purpose of the video was to show her walking, right? Or show her not having a handicap.
Right.
I think they were just filming.
Yeah.
And so somebody cut the video, just show, hey, but look her here. And
right.
She don't seem to be. I
read in the papers that at some point in time, people started running down to see if she could run.
Yeah.
Wow. Some neighbors were like while the press were there.
Yeah.
Some neighbors who were, you know, getting a little bit antagonistic is like they start to rush, you know, like to see if hey, you see they can't run, man, they go run now. And right. I don't know if she ran. I didn't say in the article. They just simply said that while they were present, some of the neighbors.
And to be fair, I think in fight or flight mode. If you had to fly,
and that's the thing, and she might be feeling, if with respect to what you were asking before as to why she would say that, she might have felt, well, yes, maybe I should have,
right? So
you know,
but is the point I was going to make to kind of your point? Is it that she really didn't do much, and she just really called the police, and she didn't go as far as she did? But she probably made up that story because of the heat that was coming down on her.
Well, that's why if it is kind of crucial to find out if the police did in fact encounter her on her way back from trying to find the child, her pursuit of the child. If the police came and they visited her at her home and she was already home, then no, we don't know. Then it could really be that she didn't do anything and she just called the police.
Or she did probably walk on the road, but just not as far as she claimed.
Right. But she said that it was on after the child. Yeah. She couldn't find the child. She called whoever, and when she was on her way back home that the police encountered her. If that part of the story is true, then it gives a little, as I say, it gives a little bit more credibility to her story.
So the thing is that information they think the police will put out at this point, or we have to wait until?
No, I don't know if the police will put that out. It's not the police responsibility to kind of have people try the case amongst themselves. So it will, if the press gets a confirmation from a police officer, then the press could print that. But the police not going to be providing the public
information. You know, like in the States, you know, when people have them kind of stories, sometimes it would
be for the press to inquire.
Right.
The press would inquire, and the police officers would be confirm X or Y
or deny or whatever.
Right. So somebody might in talking to a police officer who's in charge of the investigation. Obviously, they will want to control whatever information is out there. So if the journalist asks, well, what were the circumstances regarding the police's arrival on the scene? And then the police officer could say, well, when we arrived on the scene, we saw the well, she wouldn't identify as a suspect, but we saw the person, whatever her name is,
right? The person who contacted us.
Yes, who contacted us, who made the report. We encountered her on the roadway, blah blah blah, and then they could confirm that.
Right.
But the police wouldn't be just dropping information out there.
But the thing is, but that's the next thing. I mean, what are the chances? Like, for instance, as I say, in the States, and I mean, I probably don't happen all over the States, but in the States, when something like this happened, you would have like press conferences and give the media a chance.
Because if it's a case where, you know, there's a great deal of public interest and so on, and you know, I'm trying to remember. I've seen it happen with political issues here, with cases that have a political element to them, where the police might hold a press conference to give some information. They will want to control what is out there. I don't think that this is one that would warrant that, per se. Because the child is, if the child was missing,
right,
then they might, give a press conference to give an update on the investigation. But at this stage, especially if the autopsy, suggests that there might have been foul play involved, then that's a completely different situation.
Yeah.
And at this stage, they're gonna be very careful what they put out into the public domain. My thing is, all right, forget the insinuations that there might have been, because you were alluding to some other accusations. I don't want to say what that is, right? But let's just say that there are insinuations that there might have been nefarious actors involved, right? That aside, the people who seem to be more upset with the woman who they felt should have pursued the child, as opposed to the person who's the primary caregiver, I can't understand that. I cannot understand. I could understand being disappointed that you feel somebody didn't do enough. But in this instance, I feel as if the mother of the child is escaping a great deal of scrutiny. And I don't feel that's fair at all. Now, I'm a parent. I know that as a parent, you're not perfect, and people could make mistakes. And, it's not... it's not like I've never lost track of my children in any way, shape, or form, right? But this situation, bro... an hour.
Well, based on what she was saying, I mean, I haven't heard anything or had any confirmation from the police that, based on when they got the phone call to
the timing.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the child to reach as far as he would have reached, and okay, if the neighbors seem to believe that the woman came outside and saw the child, right? So the distance the child would have reached, that would have been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with
you. A 2-year-old in my home.
Well, the thing is, I agree with you. Having this discussion with different people, everybody have different perspectives on it, and I mean, I could respect a lot of people and their different perspectives. Because what people are saying is like countryside, and that's how they live on the countryside now. Boy.
Not with a 2-year-old. I could understand they might have a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, one who could kind of fend for themselves. So you don't care if they run outside. It's a kind of free. Because you ain't thinking nobody could kidnap you or nothing like that. Fine. But a 2-year-old, no. Nah, nobody will live so. Sorry, let me not say that.
Yeah.
I don't think that even that is normal, even in those settings. For somebody, or at least, when I say maybe it is normal, but I don't think it's understandable.
Right.
Or reasonable.
Right. For that to be
taking place. That is in my view, people not practicing proper parenting. If they're letting 2-year-olds wander.
Explore.
Into the streets.
The thing is, why I agree with what you're saying. Even for me here, even if how old she is now? 10? My 10-year-old daughter is going in the yard to play. Plenty of my gate is just be open. We just close the gate. If you understand what I'm saying. Nothing has she wander off. But even if somebody has to try to get at her, they will have to jump the fence or...
There's some barrier between...
There's some sort of barrier,
road,
right? And gives her some room to at least scream or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, I understand the point you're making with that. And I can't...
And more as I say... I'm not trying to pile on to somebody who's lost a child, right? But my thing is, I feel they're really scapegoating this other individual.
Well, you see,
and why is so much venom being directed towards her and not the person who's whose care the child was supposed to be in?
Because it's like... for one, I think that is the nature of social media. The problem is social media. No, not
social media. The villagers. Well, the village because I wondering if this person is all people in the village were predisposed to being it's not friendly to this person in the first place. So maybe that has a part to play. But I'm not talking about social media necessarily, or only social media, even the villagers.
No, here's the thing about it, right? And I keep saying this, and I mean, not to make light of the situation, or try not to make light of the situation. We sang for 6 months straight, probably more. Drink water and mind your business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the problem now?
Mm-mm.
Second of all, people, it takes a village to raise a child. At some point it did.
Yes, no.
Oh, you could tell somebody, child, hey, where do you know what's that? And the child could cost you. You could tell the parent, and the parent could tell you, but we tell my child, don't talk to my child, man. That nothing to do, that's not your business. For my child, you need road, it's not your business. See about your house, see about your child. When your child walking in the road, nobody will tell you nothing. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how this go. So I don't understand why everybody acting now, like if.
No, I mean I understand, because when it was at first reported that somebody saw the child and just called the police, it sounded crazy. It sounded like what? Where's that dog? Like, I mean, they see the child and they call the police. They didn't just walk in front of the child, stop the child, say, "Hey, where you going? Where mommy? Where daddy?" And I mean, even in this day and age, as much as people don't live good anymore, I don't think it will be crazy to do that.
You see, the thing is,
or to keep an eye on the child.
With the drama, now here's the thing, right? The girl, the person who claimed she saw the child or whatever the case may be and called the police, right? Her story kind of weird, because she is saying, right, that one, she didn't know whose child it was, or she didn't know that is the girl, that particular girl's child, right? She was also saying that she and the girl had whatever issues about in the past when they work together, right? I find it very hard to believe that this person lives right there from you and you didn't know that she had a child, or because that's what she make it sound like, right? I mean, because I can play the clip for you. She make it sound like she didn't know that girl had a child.
Okay.
Right? Which kind of is weird to me now. But like,
for 2 years?
Somebody you had a with, they live in right there. She said she now come in the area to live. Okay, you now come in the area to live, but somebody had a with, you see them there. And if you work with the person 2 years ago, and the child is 2 years now, that means 2 years and 9 months ago, the person would have gotten pregnant. At some point, you might have see them pregnant, or might have know. You understand what I'm saying? If somebody had a little rabbit, this talk, right? So that was kind of strange. Now, if you tell me, so if you say, well, but here going on, I'm not saying that this is the situation, but it's just saying, but she's a real asshole. Me have to tell she and she family and them, you understand what I'm saying? Them is the kind of people that want to beat up people and they talk to them.
Right.
So I say, she me have to tell them on. You understand what I'm saying? I just call the police because I probably being vindictive and say, let social services, but you don't have social services, but just children authority.
And how much work they do is questionable now.
Right? Yeah. But let children authority deal with she and she child. I was being vindictive when I call the police. If you had said that, I'd be like, okay, cool. That's me,
No, but the thing is, you can't say that when people want to chop off your head. Right? When people, you will invite more vitriol your way if you were to say that. Maybe, and that might make more sense to you and I now, but she can't say that, if you understand what I'm saying. So maybe that is the situation. But the point I'm making is that I think it was okay for people to kind of trip off at first, because it sounds crazy when you say somebody saw the child and didn't try to intercept, simply call the police. I think that sounds a little bit strange. So that already piqued people's anger. When she came and explained that situation, and if you say, well, first of all, I wasn't walking in the road and saw the child. I saw the child in the roadway, and the road is a good way from me. So, and I can't run, so I couldn't run and catch him before he reached anywhere. Then now it sounds like a more plausible situation. Right. But if you had already built up your anger, you ain't ready to park up. You know what I mean? People like you and I, we could build up the anger and then hear that and be like, oh, okay, I guess it sounds a little better now. But most people, they're not willing to park up their anger. They're gonna double down on it and you should have do this and should have do that. And now it started turning, and that's how it becomes. She is more responsible than the mother, right? And
instead of the mother should secure the child.
That's the thing. Or people want to pelt big stone on the woman's house, and why they not? Hey, why you didn't take care of your son, bro? Or say sorry.
Well,
and apparently she living there with, they say, with an extended family.
yeah,
right?
because I think is her mother and grandmother, so the child's great grandmother.
You understand what I'm saying? So nobody's like, hey. And like I say, I feel as if she's escaping a lot of scrutiny and unfairly. Because the thing is now, if she kind of goes, she could go around feeling like it's that woman
Fault,
her child not here no more.
Yeah. And I mean,
And then
that is
and then continue with the nonsense.
and that is
lack
the
of
kind of sentiment
accountability.
again from the villagers. Is the,
Exactly.
is the neighbor fault?
Exactly. And it's like nobody stopping and say, hey, why your son, your 2-year-old, how he reach out in the road?
Mm-hmm.
Dog, when my children were that age, bro, I mean, if the most, I can't remember ever having been in the house with them and not being aware that they're there. You know what I mean? How even 10 minutes could pass. If 10 minutes pass and you haven't heard them,
yeah, what up to?
what I'm doing? You understand what I'm saying? No, I never live in the countryside, so I don't know what it could be. But I don't sleep in the day, right? So you would never catch me napping and like fall asleep and then they could wander off, right? That wouldn't happen with me. But normal, regular people sleep in the day. So I don't know what would have happened if I lived in that kind of setting and let me say a knockout for a minute. Would he have been able to get outside? I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have had the place secure, so he couldn't get outside. He would, you know what I mean? Even if I fell asleep, I might wake up because he dropped something or he played with the stove or something. But he wander outside. You know what I mean? But I never live in a country setting, so me don't know if I would have feel like
everything's safe. Everything wrong.
But I don't think I would have. I would never feel safe with a 2-year-old wandering out into the road. I don't care how countryside it is, because not being afraid of neighbors interfering with each other is one thing, or strangers passing and snatching each other is one thing, but that car in the road, dog.
Well, from how the road look, it look like you know how much cars is.
Boy, but a car could pass. A car could pass at any time.
Yeah, but then we don't know. There might be the people. It has some people who dog that's running the road and when they bongs a dog, they just get vexed with you. Not saying each other is a dog, but people with that kind of mentality, like
like
the road is them one too. You understand? So,
well, I mean, I guess you could. That's kind of the situation because they're mad at somebody whose responsibility it wasn't. It was not her. She didn't have a duty of care to. She didn't know a duty of care to the child.
But apparently, I don't know. Is it that in that neighborhood, she signed on to protecting the neighborhood's children and she didn't do. What was her responsibility?
I very much doubt that, Nalo.
I don't know. We don't know what's going on in these communities.
I think I get the impression that she's not a favorite in that zone,
right?
And I think, and this is probably just something that gives people a cause now, an excuse to vent towards her. I think that might be. Obviously, I don't know anybody's people, personally, but I just get the impression that, because, and I keep stressing on this mainly because I think if there's no accountability on the part of the mother, you run the risk of this happening again.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not too sure how much children the mother has, but they were saying I think she has other children.
Right.
So I don't know. Apparently, this one was probably one too much. That she was unable to
be
responsible enough. I don't know.
That is a sad state of affairs, because unfortunately that is responsibility. So you had to buck up, you had to learn, you had to put things in place.
The thing is, and
there's another human life you're in charge of there.
I try to tell people all the time. Some people when they talk about children, some people say children is a blessing. I really agree with that. I tell people the easiest part of minding children is providing for them financially. I honestly feel so. That is my honest opinion on it. Okay. You see the work you have to put into bringing up a child, your mental state, making sure they have a proper mental state, them and school work and and all these just things. I think that's the hardest thing, keeping them safe.
Because job is a major responsibility. It's the most important responsibility you have. It's a life in your hands.
Yeah, and as I say, the money part, that really easy us because you find a way to get a little hustle, you could provide for your child and provide for yourself. But you see, to deal with that, as I say, keeping our child safe, simple things like them getting cold, and so when it's small, if you don't remove that cold from the system, they could die.
They could stifle. Yeah.
They could stifle and die. That is a huge responsibility. When you have a young child and that child is sick and that child has fever for 2 days or whatever the case may be, somebody might just be getting their teeth or whatever the case may be. But it's be bummy. You understand what I'm saying? It's be a 2 days unrest. You're feeling uneasy.
I think all of that is easy, I think the most important or the work comes in with you. You now have to become the type of person that your children should emulate. Now that's what you should do. Most people don't, but that's what you should do. And I think that is the hardest part, because now every time you say something to your child, if you have any self-awareness, you begin to feel like a hypocrite if you're saying things that you don't yourself practice.
Right.
And so you feel very uncomfortable, but you want them to do that. So now that means you have to look at yourself now and be like, I had to stop doing that shit. So now it means I have to work on being a much better person, because they're not going to listen to what I say. They're going to most likely emulate what I do.
Yeah.
That is to me where the toughest part. No, most people don't do that. Most people don't recognize that as part of parenting.
And then, of course, the excuse of do as I say and not as I do. Parents will say that. Yeah.
But I think to me, that is the part where you see having to because you want your children to come out a particular way, you want to guide them, but they're individuals. There's so much that you can't everything you want them to do. You can't execute it with force. So you know how to be like creative and clever and persistent, and that is where the hard work does really come in. You know what I mean? I wish my children could stay babies. I mean, not babies. Maybe like the twins are 9. I wish they could stay that age all their life. I wish they could require that amount of care and then one day become adults and get out and go else. You know what I mean? Because at this stage, it's still some of that becoming a different individual. All of that has to happen a little bit. But you see, as they get older, that is when to me the work comes in. When they start to, when you telling them what to do is not enough anymore. Not scared of you anymore. They begin to, the hormonal changes begin to happen. So they start to, push your chest out a little bit, test you and test your patience and start to get clever with what they want to do and how to execute it. That is when it has get real trying. Now it's just, you have to be protective and, but to me, this is an easier stage. But you see, when they start to get to teens, that is when I feel the real work comes in, and that is where it could get difficult. Saying so, I don't know if you heard about the situation with the mother and son that were killed. One of the things that was kind of disturbing to me. Now, again, to be fair to all of the parties involved, you could never. You try to gain an understanding of these situations based on the reporting,
right?
But sometimes the reporting so haphazard, so you as we've said on a number of occasions, you end up with more questions than answers. But one of the things that was kind of worrying I found was that, for those who might not be aware, apparently, it's alleged that I don't know if you want to call it husband or common law husband of or maybe they were estranged, who knows? Because I think they were going through some issues, right? There was, according to the mother or father, I can't remember, some parent said that there was infidelity involved, right? On the part of both parties. But a young lady and a man were together. They had a young child together, a 2-year-old or 3-year-old. But she had a 12-year-old boy from a previous relationship.
It's 12 or 10?
I see 12.
Okay.
Right? again,
Yeah.
quality of journalism, right? But she had a 12-year-old boy from a previous relationship, right? And well, it's alleged that the estranged individual came and murdered the young lady and her son.
Right.
Right. There, from the reports, they're saying that, the guy was threatening to kill her. He had been violent. He had broken her arm. Several people were warning her about, what that guy could do to her. So much so that she had to move from place to place. She didn't stay in one place. But then I'm hearing that the father of the 12-year-old, the boy who ended up unfortunately dying, he dropped her off. He dropped him off to her house on Mother's Day. And in my view, again, from how it's being reported, it seems as if it was kind of clear that this guy was unstable and he posed a threat to at least the woman. If it was me, bro,
you ain't dropping in
I don't want my son anywhere near that. If I know that my child mother had to be going from house to house because she running from some man who breaks she hand the other day and who threatening to kill she. Hey, you listen. You see when
the thing is, I hear and but I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say I disagree, to be fair, right? Because me, if I have a child with a woman and it didn't work out, whatever the case may be, and you with a man who weird in any kind of way, you don't see my child. Yeah. So that I don't want to say I disagree, but what I would say is I could understand how somebody would be like, let me just see, 2 months past, this man and coming here like no asshole.
Well, I know what they say in the report. Apparently he broke her arm not too long ago.
He'll fail to heal back already, like 2 months.
I don't know if it was healed. If it was healed, I don't know if it was properly healed.
Yeah.
But apparently the arm breaking situation didn't take place too long ago. And the point is, she has been, according again to the report, she has been having to relocate often because of that. Now, I'm not saying you're going to never see your mother, but you go see your mother
under different circumstances.
Yeah, I will come. Hey, wish your mother happy Mother's Day. I go sit down, I go lime, I might drop you, make a swing back in a couple of hours, come back and pick you up. But it wasn't overnight in there. You understand what I'm saying? Because the incident took place in the wee hours in the morning. So that could only happen if you sleep in there. And again, I don't want to pile on people who losing the young ones. So it's not...
Or the loved ones.
Yeah, it's not about, jumping on the throat. But it's just, people, please pay attention to what you're doing now. Pay attention to what you're doing, because if that is the situation that, your child mother had to deal with, why my son ain't gonna be nowhere near you.
But the thing is, and just trying to be fair to everybody, do you think that the way you see things in life, and I see things in life, and some people see things in life, just probably way different how they see things?
Well, yeah, I know that's the case, but this is the result of seeing things that way. You understand what I'm saying? I think a lot of people just don't think. They just, fun, just send him there, They don't think. They quite honestly don't pay attention to important things. And when you don't pay attention to important things, this sort of thing, unfortunately, is what takes place. Because, again, if all that is reported is true and is being reported accurately, then it would seem to me that all involved knew that she was at risk of being attacked by an unstable individual. And if that is the case, why my son anywhere near that? Why my son overnighting my you? You know what I'm saying? Nah, bro. When that man out of the picture, when he cool.
Well, probably it might have been a situation where she and all might have felt safer with her son there, because he might not have harmed her in the son's presence. I mean, I don't know. We know these people are a little crazy. I don't know what, but we, as I say, we just trying to figure out what her thought process might have been like.
Well, listen, for all you know, she might have been the primary caregiver of the boy. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't trying to cast aspersions on the man, the father. I don't know him. I don't know the situation. But it may just be that, she was really the primary caregiver. And when you say drop him off on Mother's Day, he just might have been, well, he come by him the night before and he went back home.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That was probably his weekend.
Yeah.
But let me spend the Mother's Day itself with
you understand what I'm saying? It might have been, and he probably wasn't really too concerned about what was going on when he wasn't there. Which, and I'm saying that because I don't know this guy, but unfortunately, guys, what has happened in a lot of these instances, people hatching and they just hatching. You know what I mean? And it's just, well, I'll pass and drop some money for him every weekend or whatever. And, you might study, somebody tell, hey, boy, your child mother, what kind of crazy man they? Hey, girl, don't think, what's that man by my son, they just let you know what time it is. And they go about their business.
No, we're not saying that this is the situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just,
Yeah, but the thing is, the unfortunate, and why I'm bringing it up is because I think I see these things happen a lot. And what we're trying to do is, or at least why I'm trying to do is shake people like, hey, this is how serious the situation could get. This is why you should take care of your youth. You understand what I'm saying? And you should be, first of all, you should be careful who you're impregnating, right? Because that's the first thing. And the first thing we don't do, we just
breed,
true seed, right? So you should be careful about that. But okay, mistakes, whatever. When these things happen, bro, these individuals, until they reach age 18, past that too, but at least until age 18, they're your responsibility. The safety is, you don't have to be a helicopter parent, but the safety is your responsibility. So you have to take certain things seriously. So if you know there's a situation going on with your child mother, bro, you have to make sure, hey, I can't, the child she have with him,
no, yeah, but
I can't help that.
But you see, here's the funny thing about it, right? I mean, obviously, we don't know and we just throwing different things to the wall or whatever, right? Now, suppose a situation where, Dan, I do want to carry you by your mother because of this thing on this shiver, man. And the mother is acting up, so you're telling me mother's day, I can't see my child. I go, and let me be real, there's a possibility that a mother could go to the police station. Right? Even though it had all these weirdness and she might have made reports about getting abused.
She had restraining order on the man.
Right?
The man breached a restraining order. Again, according to the reports, she had a restraining order on him. He breached the restraining order, threatened her, attack her, and she had to go and get the next one. So it's not just, well, she went to the police station and mentioned once or twice.
No, so what I'm saying is, but if she's saying she wants to see her child now, and she said, well, I will go by the police if it is you don't want to bring my child for me. You understand? And as I say, you might just say, boy, you see this? Well, boy, go and bring the police. But then that man might just say, listen, you see all this drama? They want to spend the night by him, whatever, Mother's Day, I go pick you up in the morning. Well, you understand what I say?
Well, listen, if this was an off and on, if this was a once in a while thing, then it might just be unfortunate that this is the time, that this is when it happened. And he might have, for whatever reason, because again, we don't know. So it may be that he was, being quite responsible all the time. This might have been the one time he decided, you know what, we could take a chance. You go spend the night, and this is what took place. That it could be that.
And then you hear about the next situation in Guayaguari or Mayaro or something.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, boy.
Yes, it is. Trinidad is devolving into a cesspit. It is. I think this is. Listen, I know everywhere has its problems, but you can't help but feel as if Trinidad and Tobago, for some way that they always saying blessed and favored by God, I starting to feel like Satan running things wrong, because the kind of depravity you're seeing around you on a daily basis, it's frightening.
No, the thing is, and we were jumping to that some more because there are plenty of things that we could touch on pertaining to that, right? But why I want to tie in this topic, which is a kind of international topic, which you could probably spin a bit here as well, is the what is Roe and Wade?
Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade.
Abortion.
Well, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah,
Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
Right? I know why they say Roe v. Wade.
Well, V stands for versus. So that's how they express the case. In the UK, they say and, they don't say V. So they will say, so if there was a British case, okay, they say Roe and Wade.
Right.
But in the United States, they just say V. So it would have been, if it was Supreme Court. Right. So, yeah.
Right. The thing is, so we were saying just now, right, that if it is, you come and you breed and, you can't take the responsibility of bringing up children. That is one of the biggest debates in terms of that Roe v. Wade thing. Excuse me. So right now, the Supreme Court, and I think you might need to clear up this one because based on my understanding of it, is the Supreme Court is saying, listen, we want to make abortions illegal to some extent, but the states could determine how they want to do it then by, or that's what kind of confused. Because how come the states could still do what they want, but how the Supreme Court getting involved in it?
Okay, well, prior to Roe v. Wade, it was left up to the states, individual states, to decide what their policy was on abortion. When Roe v. Wade was brought, it was brought to abolish any state's ability to ban abortions. Right? They wanted to make, there's a federal system in the United States, and there's a federal system meaning it's a combination of different states coming together, right? And as we all know, there's different laws in different particular states. However, there are things that can be mandated federally and all states must abide, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, you can't make murder legal in Florida, right? Because that would be against the Constitution and it would be in violation of a constitutional right. And the federal government has a right to make sure that no state in the union is able to legalize that. The challenge in Roe v. Wade was to say that the right to abortion was so fundamental. It was like the right to life because it was the right to bodily autonomy or privacy. I can't remember which one of the
I think privacy was one of the major ones because the person's name wasn't actually that Roe, whatever. The person's name was whatever.
Right. No. But which right you would be violating?
I think privacy was the one that they
No, but in violating how they would tie abortion with privacy would be that you would have the right to do what you want with your own body. Right. I think that comes under that particular. I can't remember. I don't know for sure which one of the amendments they were using. But the point is, they were trying to insinuate. Well, not insinuate, but the argument was that this was so fundamental that you had. No state could outright ban it, right? And so that's what that case made law,
right?
That from that point on, so any state that was passing laws to kind of restrict abortions, past a certain time, they would be challenged, and many of them would be struck down. Because it would be in violation of Roe v. Wade, which would say essentially that states can't restrict the right to abortion. So now what the Supreme Court intends to do is to overturn that because a challenge was made. And I, as far as I'm aware, they haven't actually issued the opinion yet. It's just the opinion was leaked.
Right.
But if the opinion does come out, if the judgment does come down that way.
Which is, I think they say in 15 weeks.
I don't know when it is.
Yeah, based on the leak. I think based on the leak, they say in 15 weeks.
Right. If it eventually comes down that way, then that will be overturned and it will go back to the states now to determine what their abortion laws could be. Right? Now they have I don't want to go into the specifics of like the terms that they would be allowed to ban, like past a certain point, the time frames and all that. That's not really necessarily important. What is important now is that in the United States, if this is the way it goes, states would be allowed to a large extent to determine their laws on abortion. New York could have the right to abortion up to however long.
Right.
California could have it, but Alabama could ban it, right? But I don't want to get into them thinking too much.
So that's the point I was making, because as you were saying just now, some people getting pregnant and then making children and unable to live up to that. So my question to you is, should we be looking to adopt something like that where we make abortions legal here in Trinidad and Tobago? Now, as listening to one of the arguments of the people who was arguing supporting abortion, and what they were saying is, obviously I didn't check these statistics and the facts. I didn't fact check them. I'm not Facebook. But what they were saying is, based on the statistics and the research, places where abortion is legal, women tend to be more successful in life. They have more money, they do better, and whatnot. Right? I don't know if you ever check up that statistic.
I don't care about that statistic.
Right? But that is basically what they were saying. Because some women, they make mistakes when they're really not ready to have a child. So they but they have the opportunity to go and abort the child and not bring a child into this world, become a burden, stop them from finishing school, college, or taking them away from the workplace. Because any stage, there's some real people don't know, right? Like, paid sick leave is a big thing. Worse yet for maternity leave, that's a huge thing. If you work in somewhere again, maternity leave, paid maternity leave, you have a best job, right? So for them, it would have been a bit difficult. So, but that's basically some of the arguments that they were making. That women would be better off if abortions are legal. Sorry, how do you feel about that?
Wow, listen. To me, abortion is a simple issue. I don't see that there can be a moral argument for killing a human being. Punto final. I understand why people want abortions. I understand why it would be very convenient if it was allowed. But imagine if I said, well, if we could statistically prove that if we were to kind of kill off kind of dumb people, society would be better. We would have less crime. We would have much more prosperity. We would have a much more equal society. You wouldn't have people living in shanty towns. Would that be could that be used as an argument for eugenics? In other words, killing off substandard people.
But the thing is, right?
If we could prove that if we legalize murder, if people would be better. In other words, using a utilitarian argument, which is, well, if I could prove more good comes than bad, then should we allow it? If we use that for quite a number of things, we would be a very depraved society. If you're killing a human being, if you recognize that you're killing a human being, there can be no excuse for that.
All right. So then my point is, are these people recognizing the features as a human being?
I think they don't, because they don't want to. They want to be able to kill the human being without feeling as if they're killing a human being. So they use all sorts of mental gymnastics to pretend that it's not a human being, but it is a human being.
No, the thing is, I think this is where we might be seeing it differently, right? And why I say that. It's like, before I had cats, right? When I'm driving down the road and I saw a cat get bonks, it used to be a kind of excitement. I'm telling you why. Because I know how flexible they are and how agile they are. So be like, hey boy, somebody actually get a bonks a cat. Like, that cat didn't get out of the way in time. Now, after having cats, owning cats, being with them, interacting with them, if I see a cat get bonks, or I see a cat looking like it's going to get bonks, it invokes a kind of a negative emotional feeling within myself, right? So the thing is, if this child is never born and you never get to interact with that child and build a relationship with that child, or this person, as you say,
that doesn't change your perception, doesn't change reality. If it's a human being, it's a human being. When, you know what I can't understand? No one rubs a woman's belly, a woman who's pregnant, who is not intending to have an abortion. Does she refer to what's in her belly as a fetus or a baby?
I lied. She says a baby.
People who are referring to it, do they refer to it as a fetus or a baby? I mean, the gynecologist would refer to it maybe as a fetus, maybe. But everybody who's talking about you, how the baby doing? The baby kicking? It's a baby. So how come? Well, if you don't want it, then that same thing becomes a fetus. But if you want the baby to come, then now it becomes a human being. Your perception doesn't change the reality of what is inside of you.
Right, but then that's the thing. Who determines what the reality is? Because
reality determines what it is. It's a human being.
The thing is, but this is what I'm saying. So is it in law anywhere to say that? Because I remember people used to say after 3 months and develop a heartbeat is considered whatever, right? So the thing is it stipulated? Because now what we come now based unless there's a law, right? If there's no law, then it comes down to... A law
doesn't change that, A law doesn't change what is inside of you. A law simply... All that is that there are people making their opinions, and for the purpose of having an administrative state, you are making a declaration. But none of that changes the reality. You know what I mean? If we made murder legal tomorrow, it doesn't make murder right. right? Murder will still be wrong. So even if somebody says in a law that is not a human being prior to this point, how have they made that
my point is not matter, because what you're dealing with now is perception. If to me, right, this is not a baby until it's born, and it is able to breed on its own and whatever, right?
So just
this is what I say. So, and then this is one person's perception, and another person's perception is the person who might intend to keep the child or put some more value in that.
But does that change what is inside of you? That cannot change that. But if I think this wall is pink, does it make it pink? If I don't acknowledge this, if I walk outside and say I don't acknowledge there's a house behind me, does that change the fact that there's no house behind me?
But you see, that's something totally different, because what we're talking about is if somebody is saying, right, it is only a child, or it is only a human when it's birthed and it breathes its first breath of air on its own. That is the only time to them it's considered actual human.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a difference, because what you're saying is foolish. What difference does it make if it was in my stomach this morning and it's out in the world this afternoon?
Right,
so prior to it being out in this world, was it a baby?
Well,
how could any rational person argue that it was not a baby before?
As I say, I can't talk for the person who might have feel that way. The person who's on this side, who doesn't clearly. Nobody's on that side. People are only on that side because they want to abort the baby. They want. Okay, when people wanted to treat slaves, black people, like we use them as an example. All types of people have been enslaved, but let's use black people as an example, and possibly because of this reason too. When they in the United States, they had a constitution that had to recognize all men as equal. So they say, how could you have a constitution like that, but then have slaves? Well, then they just say they aren't men. But did them saying that change the fact that they were men? Were they men? Were they not men then, but they became men? Was about no? That's just bullshit. I said, I want to do you what I want, so I'm going to pretend, because I still want to be able to go to church and pretend to be a Christian. So I'm going to say, well, they're not really human. They're subhuman. They're like dogs or cockroaches. You know, they're not. They have to be domesticated in the same way. It's the same thing. I understand why people want to have abortions. I understand how inconvenient it could be to raise a child. How unfortunate it might be to have to raise a child after making a mistake of some sort. So I understand why you want to do it. All I'm saying is stop with the nonsense and say what you're doing. You're killing a baby. You want to be able to kill a baby. You want to be able to kill a baby, and you think it's easier to kill a baby because it's inside of somebody as opposed to when it's born. No, the thing is, right, I remember doing a biblical teaching some years ago. It was a good bit of years ago, and I was really going to call to freshen up on it to discuss that, but they had a biblical class or whatever going on, so I didn't get to get the information, right? But I remember in that biblical teaching, and if I do get the verses of scripture, whatever, I'll put it in the show notes, right? But I remember they were saying that this is what I was taught in this biblical teaching, right? Until the child is born and takes their first breath of air, it is not considered a human. And in the biblical teaching, what led them to that is that they were saying
Jeffrey Dahmer was teaching a biblical class. Or?
No. But what they were saying is that in the Bible, a man killed a pregnant woman and was only charged, and well, the woman and the child died, and was only charged for the murder of one life or whatever, something like that. And that, based on that, is where they came up with that analogy.
Okay, go ahead.
Right? So that is a different perspective or different angle.
No, it's not, because it doesn't make a difference.
Let me go into some more, right? So in the teaching, what they were saying is that what makes a human is body, soul, and spirit, right? The spirit only comes when you are saved. Confess with thy heart and thy mouth, Jesus Christ died on the cross, right? But what they're saying is your body is your body, and until you take your first breath of air, you don't have soul. That's what the teaching was. You have no soul at that point.
That just sounds like somebody saying something. I could say anything. You know, I could say, if pigs had wings, they could fly. But that doesn't sound like anything other than just sophistry to me. Absolute sophistry. That's just nonsense. My thing is, it's a baby. You refer to it as a baby. People talk about it as being a baby because we all recognize it as a baby. If it's a baby, it can't change whether the woman wants it or not. You understand? It can't be that it's a baby if you want it, but it's not a baby if you don't want it. Right? So if you don't want it, it's still a baby, but it's a baby you want to get rid of. Fair enough. And when I say fair enough, all I want you to admit is what you're doing. Don't soften the language. Don't pretend you're doing something else. You're killing a baby because it's inconvenient. Fine. Me personally, I don't think there's any moral authority to do that. I would never feel comfortable with... If I was a woman, I would never feel comfortable doing that because in the same way that I wouldn't feel comfortable taking any innocent life. Right? But I understand why women want to do it. I understand why some women might feel it's their only option. But just say this bullshit about women's rights is not a women's rights issue. It's not about that. It's not a women's rights issue. It's simply, are you recognizing it's a human and is it that you want, well, we want to make a carve out in the law that we could kill human beings if they're inconvenient, or if they don't, as long as they haven't come out of a woman's womb yet, then we should be able to kill them. Fine. Say that's what you want. But stop with the euphemism. Stop with pretending that it's, my body, my choice. It's obviously, and don't tell me what to do with my body. Nobody cares about your body. You know what I'm saying? The people who are asking you not to do what you're doing, they don't care about your body. And they don't give a shit what you do to your body, right? They're just saying there's another body inside of you that you need to pay attention to, right? And I don't know if you've ever heard this analogy where, because what they would argue is that, well, while the child is inside of my body, then,
and basically, they were still living off of them.
Right. And therefore, I have a right to evict it from my body because it's my body. Now, imagine if you had... The example is use a hot air balloon. If I bring you onto my hot air balloon, right? It's my property. I invited you on. While we're up in the air, we have an argument. And I say, you know what? I don't want you you're on my property. Right? If you're in my house, I'll tell you, come on my house. But we're in a hot air balloon. So I tell you, exit my property. I'm essentially killing you. Right? But do I have the right to do that? Would that be, I have the right to evict you from my property because it's mine. But I have taken you up in the air. You didn't enter the hot air balloon by force, You didn't come and point a gun at me and jump onto my hot air balloon. I invited you onto the hot air balloon. I mean, because these people act as if they didn't do something to bring the child about.
And this is where this is my perspective on it. If it's a situation of rape and you think you have a very difficult time facing this child, I could kind of understand and you wanted to go down that road, right?
I can understand anybody wanted to go down that road. Anybody who's pregnant and doesn't want to have a child. I can understand any one of them wanting to do that.
The thing is, my thing is, then you should take whatever necessary precautions possible to not end up in that situation to want to have to abort the child. That is my take on it. Right? If you're careless, it can't be that as you route taken because you were careless. Because then if that is okay, then you'll continue to be careless. And I'm pretty sure because I do too, a few girls who, they use abortion as birth control.
Yeah. They as opposed to other forms of birth control.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I mean, I don't think that is necessarily good for them and their so-called bodies that they want to be in control of. And then, of course, I have my other things on it. Like, for instance, they tell a man, if they want to have, let's say two of them do a thing and the man don't want to have the child, but you want to have the child, it's okay. But then if the man want to have the child, but you don't want to have the child, then it's a problem. Yeah. And then I always make this point that, there's situations where people do, the man will say, nah, I do want the child, and the woman will say, my body, my choice. But then when you make the child, you carry me to court to pay the maintenance.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, some people have said that the way to solve for that is that once prior to the birth of the baby, you should be able to go to the court and lodge thing saying you wanted to have no part to play. No, I don't think you do that anywhere. But people suggest that is the solution.
Well, I think that should be in place.
Once you declare prior that you advised her to have an abortion. But then abortion would have to be legal. right, no, I just saying that once because everybody was talking about that when Dave Chappelle made the joke now. So it has been suggested that the way to get around that would be there should be an opportunity for people to because if it's not legal here at all, so none of this is applicable here. But where it's legal and where it's advisable that well, not advisable, but where you're able to do that, then it should be possible for the man to go and make a declaration in the court and say, listen, I asked her to abort. She insists that she wants to hold the child. I don't want to have any part to play in the child's life. Just let that be known, and she's willing to carry this on her own.
But that brings me back to the point. Should we start to implement those things here? Because
but then you have to make abortion legal.
But they're talking about from the start, from everything, from abortion.
And I think that making abortion legal is saying something about your society that I'm not comfortable with.
But this society... I think this society...
Yeah, I know, but...
It reaches going by dog boy. Anything is anything at this point.
I know, but... It still feels to me as if when you reach that stage, you started to kind of mince between, all right, we know this is an ugly thing, but we're going to allow for it because it's convenient. I think that is, I mean, yes, this place is, we were just saying, is a cesspit, but, still, I think because the things we declare as legal do say something about the values they say.
Right, but then this brings me back to the point of some of the things we were talking about before. Is it a situation where if some of the people who have been making children and killing them,
but even if you made abortion, legal, these people would still have children, because there are people in the United States, in many places, abortions are legal. Well, in everywhere it was legal. I think now it's only when that Well, there's places that place some dread restrictions on it. Yeah. But it's legal, I believe, everywhere. At least now, before Roe v. Wade is overturned. And they still have instances of awful parents and crackheads having children and abusing them and killing them, and that happens. That's not cured by abortion because unfortunately, I think even if you made abortions legal, it would not have a significant impact on the birthing rate. I think people who... I don't know of very many people who intended to have an abortion and were unsuccessful in doing so safely here, right? I don't know if I might be getting myself in trouble saying that, but I know quite a number of women who have had abortions, and they were able to do it safely, their life still, talking to me normal, right?
I know some who have had one or two and then unable to get pregnant now.
Well, I don't know if any of them that I'm talking about here are trying to get pregnant now and haven't. I can think of one person who had a baby since.
Okay.
So I don't know about the rest, right? But the point I'm making is that I don't know that the legality or illegality of abortion in this country is having a major impact on what happens in those situations. Many of them will still pop out children. They'll still pop them out. You know what I mean? And expect the state to mind them or expect... So, because a lot of these people have children for all kind of weird reasons, to trap a man or to, you understand what I'm saying? So I don't think you're going to see no big difference in the awful parenting, because even in places where abortion is legal, that's happening left, right, and center. So that can't be a solution.
But they might be able to limit it a little bit.
No. How you know that?
I don't know. I just said it might.
Look at where it's legal. Do you get the impression?
Well, but they're saying because obviously you got to check back these statistics before it was legal and then now, right? To
There's
compare.
50 years Roe v. Wade in place.
Well, right, so that's it. You got to check 50 years before and 50 years after.
Dog, I mean,
Right.
you gotta check nothing. It's a real worthless parents out there.
But the thing is, I know, but if the woman is saying that,
Abortion legal in the United States and in New York and thing, and how much woman you know with 9,000 children, with 9 different men, and can't mind none of them, and leaving a 3-year-old with a 6-year-old to go to work, and what kind of shit, and illegal over there to have that.
no, but if the statistic that this woman is quoting that women are doing better, and then there's a possibility.
Hey, bro, I do not. First of all, I don't know how you calculate that, and I think a lot when they talk about things like that, you have a lot of motivated studies. So he's looking for a conclusion and would gerrymander the information to get to that conclusion. So I wouldn't trust any study done in that regard unless I investigated it myself. But all I know is that there's abortion there and there's a lot of awful parenting. There's a lot of awful parenting and a lot of situations where people having way more training than they could mind and doing all kind of worthlessness and leaving children in squalor and all that sort of craziness. And I would actually hazard a guess that it's probably more prevalent in the places where abortion is legal. The types of places where abortion would be legal, like, major cities, urban areas, where, it's nothing to go and get one of them thing. That's where you see the most dysfunction.
It could probably be, people tend to be more careless in those areas.
Yeah.
And then feel some sort of connection to the child, so they end up not aborting, or feel like the man,
or they feel like they want the child, or they
or feel like the man might behave now, or I don't know.
All kind of trippiness I was saying. So suggesting that could be some sort of viable solution to the craziness we've seen here. No, I don't think so. I think because a lot of these people could have had abortions. Maybe somebody real, if you're real destitute, you might not be able to get access to it. But a lot of people here could know where to go and get one if they wanted to get one.
Or know what pills to buy.
Right, you understand what I'm saying? And they're not doing it. They want the child. They like the big belly. They like the attention.
Well, they say trends are blessing.
Whatever.
And they say God is provide.
Right.
Don't worry, once you have a child, God
all
will
them
provide.
dotishness. You know what I mean? And then they'll fall asleep and let them wander all the road, I know. So I don't think that is a solution to the problem. And as I said, even if you could make that utilitarian argument, I think you're going on a real slippery slope when you start saying things like, well, if it might have more benefits than drawbacks, then we should allow for it. Nah, dog, you can't. And when you say, well, when it's illegal, is now you have people doing craziness and it get dangerous and you create a black market for it. Well, we have a black market for slaves. Should we say, well, you should just make slavery legal so that we can eliminate the black market, so people don't have to do it under law, they could do it in a regulated fashion?
But I always say that with prostitution.
Well, prostitution is much different. That's a much different scenario.
There's more choice.
Yeah,
based.
that's much different scenario.
Yeah, a choice based thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the other topic we touching on?
Well, your soldier who come out of timing with the after the businessman was killed. Your partner now, what's your name? I don't. Oh no, how I could forget this? Nah, man, we had to touch on this.
Is that right?
Because my wife actually asked me if I was coming to do the show this evening with some tissue for you. And she want to know how you're taking all these attacks on your partner, boy. Your brethren.
Who's that, Foster?
Yeah. She want to know how you're taking it, if you're doing all right.
Well, as I've said before, and I'll say again, believe it or not, right? You see the picture the picture that was circulating with them, right?
What?
With Foster. Who does Foster? I think it was Penelope and our next fella. Yeah, it's that picture, and Kamala was talking the other day, and she was talking, referring to the picture. Apparently, somebody photoshopped something talking about land grabbing, or whatever the case may be, right?
Okay.
And apparently, Kamala thought it was a real thing.
Right. Surprise.
Yeah, what?
No.
Yeah,
Surprise.
talking in Monday Night Forum.
Right.
You know, like it was a real thing that somebody put.
Right.
Just use the same picture with the 3 individuals.
Right.
One of the individuals I went to school with, Masai Sai.
Okay.
Yeah. You and Trinity.
I know him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. I only know I realize. I know him. The thing is,
Yeah, big attorney.
have they verified, the police verified that this document is real?
Yes.
They verified the document is real.
Yes.
No, that is I didn't get that verification, but yeah, let me just see how it goes.
And the police commissioner, the acting police commissioner, confirmed that they're looking into it. That the special branch, the report is being investigated. What the allegations were being investigated.
Right. And so yeah, let me see how it goes. I mean,
why they coming after your partner? So why?
I think
why they afraid that man? So why they on him like that? Why? What you feel is behind that?
Well, as you said already, this is a marginal. You understand? And I think that might be the best way to start a shake when it comes to election time. Start to attack the people in the marginals who from the, let's say from the PNM or who in power. Yeah, start to attack them.
All right. So you didn't find it strange that, I mean, there's a document dated 2019 and it now come out? And according to Fitzgerald Hines, they could tell, he said the document's coded and the document was only sent to one particular police officer. So now that it's in public domain, they feel like they could pinpoint exactly how it got into the public domain. 2019 and they drop it now?
Yeah.
Why did they could have dropped it before the election?
Closer to the election time.
What, election itself? You know what I mean?
I in this situation, you drop it now. You force the hand to investigate it. Hopefully, in the investigation, you find something that.
No, but from is my understanding that document was sent the special branch then.
Right, but
it has been under investigation since then. But it's only the fact that the report was made and all of that is only now that's coming to the public.
Right.
Now the public is aware.
But the thing is, they say that they sent it in 2019. Well, they said they might have sent it in 2019, but they say that it was being investigated all the time. It's probably not.
So where the document was all the time, it was on the floor.
But that's a regular thing, and in a corner, until somebody write a press on somebody.
No.
Is it that the police service or people in the police service have a vendetta with the PNM party right now?
I don't know. I think I am wondering why people are fishing for info on Foster. I just find it real weird that they've pinpointed Foster and they said Foster's the man we're going after. I mean, let's be honest. Yes, Caesar Man has been garnering some support on on the ground in his constituency, and maybe he's begun to shine a little bit. But he's not one of the higher profile members of cabinet. A lot of people would be hearing about Foster Cummings for the first time.
But the thing is, as somebody told me, these younger ones are the ones who making a little more mistakes.
Mistakes? The things he's been accused of is something all seasoned politicians have been accused of. Agitating to get contracts, making connections with some unscrupulous elements in the community. That's something all of them have been accused of. Almost every member of the UNC has been accused of that at some point in time. So I don't know that he's making. I think it might be because he's making waves. He's kind of he getting up there. He's sticking his head above the parapet now. But I mean, not drawing the ire of the next side. I wonder if there's some people on his side that don't like him. Yeah, that don't like him. I wonder.
Interesting. But you see, the reason I ask if you think they have something specific against the PNM, right? Is because look at the situation with Schoon and Faris And I mean, the police kind of went out of the way, and that's not normally something they would do. Like, really.
No, I still think, and I told you this when it happened, I still think that the main reason was that once it became public knowledge, they kind of have to look like they're doing something. They can't be, they will come under too much scrutiny and the opposition wouldn't let it go. If it is that this individual seems to be receiving, and this is one of those instances where I feel he went through more than he would have if he wasn't politically connected. Because I feel like people wanted to make, like they kept telling us, we had to look like we Django in here. Because if we do Django here, then we could look real bad. You know what I mean? It will be said that we are taking orders from others. So I personally feel that's what went on with him, that because he's a high profile, somebody, once it became public knowledge, they was like, well, dog, we had and maybe they might have been, so like when they were able to call when an officer was able to verify certain information that took place what happened in the police station, might have a police officer himself who might have wanted to run to the next side. But I just feel as if once the hornet's nest was, disturbed.
Because my thing is, I don't think, I'm not saying that the police behavior was politically motivated. Well, not necessarily politically or not opposition motivated. But I think some of them coasting on that 2013 thing, boy. That 2013 salary is because
true.
I was telling you.
Yeah.
Because I just really about that.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, I just get, I'm not say real upset, but I just be like, what come on? I work a place for 15 years and never get increase in salary, dog. So, all again, and all the short is still getting when they figure out how much money they increasing it by.
And they was getting paid more than you.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when they figure out how much they increasing it by, you're going to get back pay.
You're
going to get paid retroactively.
Yeah.
I work somewhere for 15 years and never get increase in salary. So, I was like, let beat them over.
But they go say, you're not risking your life.
Yes, sir?
You're not going out there, facing the criminal elements, you know what I mean? So if you work for small money, like you. But
my thing is,
them out here, keeping the country together.
My thing is, it will come short.
We used to promoting propaganda.
But no, the thing is, so I don't know if, that's why I asked this now.
Maybe.
Is it that these police like, so they feel or they go bullshit we and run you wrong with money. Yeah. So any little thing we could get the shaft for you.
Yeah.
That document was sit down there for a while, but you know what happened? Let me put it out.
Yeah.
Let me hurt them a little. Let me shake them a little. Let them know we inside there.
Plausible.
We will take them a little shake.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Plausible.
And then, even with the forest thing and the whatever, we could have dumbed this down right in the thing here. And you understand what I'm saying? Like, real situations play off and scene good thing and police good thing. And then, you go here it. But they reach as far as searching the man's house and all kind of thing, and then they come and say, the search was illegal and whatever. You understand what I'm saying? The real push it now, boy. So I was just like, I wonder if they just stand the push back now, like if they didn't want to sort you out, we could find every little way to Django. Who in power now.
Yeah, maybe.
To Django,
Maybe.
And then I mean, as I started off saying that it may not have been opposition motivated. But remember when your opposition was the opposition was paying? Well, when the opposition was in power, when UNC was in power, they must pay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It could be. I can say it could be. It's plausible. It is plausible. But I just find it particularly strange that it's that is not Forrest, Foster. I find Foster coming under the gun plenty.
But he seems to be handling it well. I mean, as I said before, I don't know him personally.
You find so? I saw a little snippet of his response. I find he looked rattled.
Well, the thing is, the other posts that I'm seeing from him, he has, it seemed like he has amped up his posts and showing he's just doing work. He's So probably that time he get
he was responding to,
I didn't see the response. I didn't see
he was being asked the question, you know what I mean? And he seemed upset. He seemed upset. No, I mean, you could say that's quite, understandable if these allegations are bogus and, because the way he was refuting them, it sounded like in his eyes, or at least the way he's putting out these things are completely baseless now. They're not even, he's saying some of these things, these facts are just completely erroneous now, you know what I mean? But
I mean, everybody say that.
Yeah, I know, but but just there's a difference between saying, okay, all right, like, I think they were talking about the lands that was supposedly purchased by him, and it's one thing to say, yes, I purchased those lands. Those lands are in my name, but they were purchased legally, blah, 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 all above board. It's like, no, I don't want no land. I don't, none of that, no connection. I had no connection to that. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's a different story. But I just find it, strange that they come around Foster while he is, kind of building his profile.
Well, boy, we had to see. I mean, it has been said that he's one of the people who vying for political leader of that party.
Is that so?
Yeah. So, I don't know.
So, So, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
that's what I go say. But yes.
But I honestly don't think he could win political leader of the party.
Well, maybe some people do. Maybe some people feel you have a chance.
I don't know. And I don't think that's how PNM. I don't think that's how within the political parties operate. I think they just agree on who they want and put them, because you can't tell me this is gonna be a real shipping statement, but you can't tell me, right, that a lot of UNC people think still that Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is still the best option to lead that party.
Yeah, but I think there are ways to test the support for particular, because all the people who's vie for political leadership, there's test the waters. There's go on, there's do little, mock election and thing to say, hey, what the people really feeling about me? It may be that, some people, that's been happening, and some people feel like, so certain people getting real support by it. You know what I mean? I thought there was nobody's, but they're looking like they're getting more support again. And maybe they might be getting the more support. They might be, set to take the throne. But you know what? Let me not play with this man. Let me not play with this individual. Let me just make sure that you don't even believe that you have a chance. You know what I mean? In any race. You can't win if in any race,
Well, true. But they have to be very careful what they're doing, because...
yes, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say. Yes.
So, if they're willing to risk it, is it cut off? To spoil their face?
To spoil their face.
You're going to do that. So, and I don't think they'll do that.
Well...
Don't play the marginals and
No, because the thing is, you mightn't want to take him out, We just want
to shake him.
Enough dirt surrounding him, enough speculation around him that he's no longer a viable option. So he could stay where he is, For
a while. And then because you end up switching out the next election.
Whenever, but just you can't be a knight in shining armor right now. Your armor will be little dirty.
Hey, why are we talking about them, boy? I mean, you saw the interview with Stuart Young and on CNN?
Yes.
No, I do like to... I try not to. I'm not saying I do like to. I try not to say extremely mean things on the podcast about these people. But Stuart Young, for me, boy, I think if I could handle an interview like that better than you, I'm a bit puzzled.
What is your problem with how we handle it?
Like when they ask, so what are you going to be doing with the money? That this new money that the country is going to be seeing. Which I found was a real demeaning question. Yeah.
It make it sound like it's a 2x4 country.
Right. And this is my point. Stuart Young could have simply said, well, in our country, our people, they what's the word used by? But they benefit from what's it called? Universal healthcare, right?
Unlike where you're from,
right? Yeah.
Well, unlike where you live, not where you're from. Yeah. He's actually from England, I think. Yeah.
Right. So we have universal healthcare. We have free education for
tertiary education.
Well, not free tertiary because is a thing with gate, right? So you can see we have free education from primary and secondary school, and free tertiary level education for people who can't afford, right? We have subsidized gas. So unlike America, what the people are paying at the pumps, in Trinidad, we are paying fractions of the cost at the pumps. Even though we force in here that high, it still is fractions compared to what they pay. What's the man could have seen them things, dog? The man could have seen them things, dog. Let be real, dog. Bills. Oh, fuck. All of you had to be fucking bills. Like, bills. Like,
I mean, I don't think he needed to go down that road because it wasn't as if the guy was being antagonistic. The way he answered.
No, but
you
my
could have
thing is,
simply
you
said
don't
we
need-
have numerous development and infrastructural projects that we hope to bring on stream.
And my thing is, I'm not saying you need to say demeaning or like the man being this is that time you could kind of show off the country, you know, dog. You understand what I'm saying? For the people who don't know.
No, but I mean, you I understand what you're saying, but just probably you didn't have to point out unlike the United States.
No, you said the unlike the United States the first thing, so I just pointed it out with the rest, right? But the thing is, I just saying, you know, but he could have, you could have show off the country. You could have, listen, this place real nice, you know. But aside the crime thing, I think, because that's not what they're talking about, right? You're talking about the money. There's a lot of things here that, I mean, that you could boast about.
Yeah.
You understand? And then people, I'm sure people who watching CNN and serious how all them things in our country. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, first of all, what's that country? What is that?
But the people who say what's that, to know that, because now, okay, what's that country? We never hear about it. For the people who never hear about it, okay. And they have all that thing going on there. Wow. And that's, you understand, that becomes interesting. But when you just say bills, like,
all right. I
because
guess.
my thing is saying the infrastructural development thing, that's a good answer as well, but it's very vague, right? And nearly any country will say that.
The main reason why I would say that is because I find it to be a real weird question. I mean, it sounds as if you feel it's really a 2x4 country, like, you know, like we hand to mouth in a sense now. Like, you know, if in the UK, there's a boom in a particular industry, you wouldn't ask the minister in charge of that industry, so what are you gonna do with the money? Like you know, like if it's a household you run,
or like you know get money. You know, I wonder if you can handle this.
Like we gonna win the lottery, or you know what I mean? Like I found this a very demeaning question. So the reason why I would have answered in that way would have been to be like, what do you mean? With the same thing any government would do with money, we would invest in infrastructural development, and you know what I mean, whatever. But yes, I get where you're coming from, that was a kind of vague answer. But I think, and I think it was handled the way it was handled, because he was very, he acted in a way that kind of brought on that demeaning question, you know? How you go, we're going to spend him, because he acted like he was glad to be on CNN.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I understand why you kind of might be glad to be on CNN, but you can't show it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're the minister of energy of a nation, a tiny nation, but a nation nonetheless. You have a great deal of responsibility. You shouldn't be going on CNN and feeling like, and giving off the aura like, wow, I am on CNN. I'm you know? And I think that's what brought on the question, like, we're going to do the money.
Because, I mean, all right, so probably whoever channel the Daily Show on, probably not as big as CNN.
Comedy Central.
Okay, right? Probably not as big as CNN.
I mean, Trevor Noah show, right?
Yeah.
Comedy Central.
But the other thing did still handle that Trevor Noah thing way better than...
No, I didn't like how the other thing handled it.
But how comedy show, if you understand what I'm saying?
No, I found that I think when you are a not dignitary necessarily, but when you are a public official, a cabinet member, a prime minister, you should act accordingly. And I felt like he went on that show and felt he was on a tourism program, and he was trying, in my opinion, too hard to sell Trinidad, right? Which is why, you see how you answered there just now, I personally wouldn't take to that, because I feel like that is not my role as a minister now, boy. You know what I mean? I had to act, I can't act like a feel, like I never see come see now, you know what I mean? And take this opportunity to, now if I'm the minister of tourism or something, that's a different story. Or, you know, a beauty pageant winner or something, that's kind of your role there. But as a dignitary, I'm here to talk about health issues, not to, you know, pick up the country. Now, a lot of people disagree with that. I know most people feel you should pick up the country all the time.
But I think I don't think they really want to talk about health issue on Entrepreneurship. I think it's more of a comedy thing and a kicks thing. And so whoever you do at that point is whoever. You understand? That's how I see it. Because when Trevor was talking about a weird thing to a kicksy thing too.
Yeah, but he was doing it from a comedic standpoint, but I'm still the Minister of Health in the country that you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a guest that in the studio to Bill Jones with you. You understand what I'm saying? And yes, when they have presidents, because they've had Obama on that show when Jon Stewart was there, and yes, they had a kind of jokey interaction. But still, there's a way to handle that and all in the way that a public official should. But he didn't do that. I think he felt like it was his opportunity to. He wanted to shine in the interview. He acted like a celebrity who was promoting a movie who wanted to shine in that moment, as opposed to a dignitary that or a public official who should feel like you should respect me too. You know, I'm not here as a prop for your show. I am you understand what I'm saying? So it's not for me to shine, it's for you to interview me properly. You understand where I'm coming from? But he didn't give off that aura. He gave off the aura of, he thought, hey, well, this is an opportunity. If I do well in this, I'll get lots of, claps from the people back home. And, you know what I mean? And I mean, he got that. He got a lot of that, and, credit to him for that. But I don't feel like the way a health minister or energy minister or prime minister should be, carrying about themselves whenever they have an opportunity to go on these things.
I think with that question, it was really easy to say, what are we doing with the money? This is what we're doing with the money. without seeming like you're over pushing, in my opinion. It's just like, what are we doing with the money? Well, this is what we have here, and this is what the money, we just use the money for. We just use the money to pay for universal health care, to subsidize tertiary level education, to subsidize gas at the pump. So he's using money for, and to develop and to continue developing the country.
I hear you, but I just think that question should have been rebuffed in such a way. He should have felt embarrassed. He should have felt embarrassed for asking that question. Like, give me like, what I go and do with the money? I go and put it in my pocket, or you know what I mean? We feel, what your government is doing with money. You understand? Anyway, I guess before we ride out, the situation with the businessman and the man started making this out of time. Why are you looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about?
Which one is talking about?
The saddest was making the out of time in comments. And I believe it was on Facebook.
Oh,
but after the businessman
that's so long ago, dog.
I mean, that's so long ago.
It's because it had anyhow. Yeah, so yeah, that's so. All right, so the businessman put into the comments of saying it seems like the Indo-Trinidadian is being under attack or being attacked or they are more vulnerable in this country. Strange enough, I thought I would have seen a lot of people kicking up and saying it's a racist take.
That's what I actually wanted to talk to you about.
And strange enough, I ain't seen it.
That I don't want to talk too much about the actual racist aspect of it, because we've had to talk about race and I can't take them kind of conversations. But the reason why I brought it up is because I wanted to actually hear what you felt about this. Aren't you glad that it came and went? If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't know about it, right? But to be fair, I'd be on Facebook. And I think that is where most of this rap does take place, right? And I'd be on Facebook. But you just kind of solidified it or confirmed that it really hasn't gone anywhere.
But
you think that's because we are getting bigger as a society now, though?
I think because people think it's true. I think people...
Yeah, but I mean, people have always thought it's true. But it doesn't stop the usual. When the girl from... What's the place? Ramsarans. Right. What she was describing was a lot or something something I've heard a lot of people express, and I think a lot of people secretly kind of buy into anyway, even when they pretend not to.
Well, the difference is...
a big sort of noise
but the difference is how he worded his thing compared to how she worded her thing. You remember? She had some post somewhere apparently that had something with cockroaches or some kind of thing like that, right? Which...
But she was Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
right? Which people right to be triggered, so they were triggered. Then I think now, obviously, we have a lot more distractions now. We have a lot of things going on,
But that was during the election. We had COVID was in full swing.
right?
COVID was, and they weren't really. But that was post-election because it's when it was pictures of people celebrating or videos of people celebrating that she had commented on and referred to the behavior of the people and
Right.
saying there's them.
Right, but now we have people gunshots in Santa Cruz looking like it's freaking Star Wars, right? You saw that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We have a lot. We have the child that went missing. We had plenty murders last week. We had all these things going on. So I think it didn't catch the crowd that has picked it up and go crazy. One, two. I think a lot of people saw it and was like, I could see what you're saying. Apparently, this fella, right? The same guy he was talking about, this Dindial, I think his name is, right? Apparently, that man was real loved now. Bro.
Yeah.
Apparently, that man was real loved by
Shogunas.
and by everybody now. Like both races or they mix everybody.
Yeah.
And so apparently that really bothered like real people now. But like,
Yeah. Apparently, there was a big scenario on the day after the incident take place. There's a lot of protests and there's a little bit of unrest in the area because people were so upset about it.
yeah. So I think people starting to realize that it has some truth to it. And I mean, people who don't want to admit that it has truth to it, I mean, with the causes and whatever, the cause and the correlation and whatever, that could be debated. But I think some people realize it, yeah, boy, when I watch the fucking news and when I watch on Beyond the Tape and I watch on Facebook and I watch on News Before News and watch the people who are murdered most of the time, people who they holding for perpetrating.
Well, I
a lot of the
wouldn't say
crimes.
murder most of the time. I mean, that's the thing that I disagree with. I think black people would be well overrepresented in terms of not just robberies but violent crime in general. So I don't believe necessarily that Indians are victimized more often than black people, because people tend to, if you're going to say that you believe black people are the perpetrators more often than not, then people tend to kill those around them. So a kill, attack, rob, whatever, those around them. So if you're talking about crimes of profit, well, obviously you'll go where profit is. But in terms of victims of murder and thing, I think black people probably are overrepresented in victimization.
Well, all right. So I think you might have to explain to me when they say victimization exactly what you're talking about.
Well, they would be more often than not the victims of criminal activity, violent crime, and robbery.
So then, but this is where the difference might be, right? Is because you have a lot of black people dying because of gang-related violence or whatever issues they may be having within their community, right? So you understand, two man fall out. And you hear the news story, turn the other altercation, man, come back, man, shoot him or whatever, you pull out the gun, you shoot him. Understandable. Not right, but understandable. But then, when in normal crime situations, you understand what I'm saying?
Well, okay, like I said, if you're looking at crimes of profit, when people want invading the homes of businessmen looking for big money, then I would think, I don't know for sure, but I would think that's where you might see the overrepresentation of East Indians. But I don't think that that's necessarily all crimes of profit. When I say crimes of, I think black people are more often the victims of robberies in general, right? Okay. Robberies in general, violent crime in general, right? Murders, assaults, robberies, all those things. I think they are more often overrepresented. Now, when you're talking about things like a kidnapping, a big money crime, something like that, where you could not home invasion or robbing businesses. If you're talking about the types of business people now that might be the victims of criminal activity, then yeah, that's probably
right. So that's talking about. So when he was talking about that, I think that is where he is kind of
right. But he was saying mostly people murdered is one race and mostly perpetrators is one race. I don't think that that's true. I think he misspoke in that regard. Now, I know he wasn't trying to be 100% accurate and technical. I know what he implying. But we had to be careful when we say the statistics bear this out. And sometimes you have to be, because I remember this guy who used to write for the Newsday. I was looking to see if I could have found the article before I came. I think it's Baldeo Singh. I remember once reading a column he had written where I think the title of it was something like Numbers Do Lie, or Numbers Don't Lie. That is what it was, right? And he was kind of starting off that, a lot of the things we feel to be true, like you think they'll be different. If you ask the average person, what community you feel would have the higher rate of illiteracy, East Indian or African, when you looked at the statistics, they weren't actually reflective of what people normally thought. But I couldn't find it to get all of the information in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the things aren't as straightforward as we think they are. But I would probably want to believe that when it comes to, if you were to say, well, if you were to look at businesses being targeted, you probably will find an overrepresentation of East Indians, because you would probably find more East Indian business owners as opposed to Africans. If you're talking about maybe not even home invasion, because it depends on how you classify home invasions. A home invasion. Look, there's the scaffolding man who they come for $50,000 from. There are plenty of others take place all the time, and those necessarily wouldn't have an overrepresentation of Indians. But I think what they would think in their brain is taking place is that every time them hear about a home invasion with an African, is probably a man who was involved in thing, who has some kind of issue. But when there's a Indian businessman, it's because he was just he's doing his business and he was targeted by the ruthless bandits on the road. And maybe that's true. But as I say, bringing it back to what I was happy about was to see it didn't make a big dent. Because I think we have to, I don't know if we've reached that stage, and probably I'm a bit over optimistic. But what I want to see us reach a stage where people make these comments and we could have proper conversations. Not conversations governed by the people shouting from either side, the extremists on either side shouting, nobody actually challenging the sentiments expressed, or challenging them genuinely, or in good faith. I think that's where we had to reach. And more important than how he feel about it and how he feel about people with dark skin and kinky hair, let me sort out the problem now, but let me fight this crime situation, bro, because this crime situation fucked up, and getting into this, how he feel about me and how that, and getting that even,
The thing is, I think, I mean, I understand, when he make a statement like that, even probably they don't even have a clue on how to even start to think about fighting the crime situation that way. Because, and this might necessarily be true, but this might be his perception. It's like, we are not the ones that really involved in the crime, so we don't even know what to do to fight it.
I know why he's making his statement, but what I'm saying is that instead of getting caught up in the argument that normally ensues when that takes place, okay, how about, all right, let's assume he's making his statement out of anger, frustration, bitterness, right? Let's not assume that he's a Ku Klux Klan member, right? Or has Ku Klux Klan tendencies. But he's just an individual who feels a particular way, probably wrongfully, if you want to say that, right? Wrongfully believes some statistics to be the way that they are. But the point is, that's how he feels. And he's expressed it because he's frustrated. And why is he frustrated? Is he frustrated without, any, is it unwarranted? No. He's frustrated because the situation is it's devolving into assessment, right? So let me deal with that. Instead of spending 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 days
quarreling about
in the dotish argument about that, you see what they really feel about we and blah 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 blah. Where does that put us?
But the thing is, I don't think anybody willing to have that conversation. I don't know, because to be fair, so many people who need to have the conversations, the politicians, and if I think plenty of times the politicians, they don't really want to cross them people. You understand what I'm saying?
But I think they have to be kept out of the conversation. They follow us, right? They just stick the finger in the air. All right. If the supporters want to keep the racist sentiments, and all right, well, they stand up for that. They're not coming out here and promoting real unity. If they know when they go in the constituency, we don't like them, right? So that's how they operate. They stick their finger in the wind, so they will follow us. So we are the ones now who have to who have to try to reach across and say, all right, let me not assume the worst of this man. And let me ask him. You know what I mean? And let's reach out to him and have a conversation. It's going to take people got to be big people to do that. And I know that is asking too much of 99% of the population. But I think it is necessary if we are to make an improvement. But most people don't want improvement. They like to gripe and make noise. So, but I was just glad to see that it didn't actually go away.
And I think
that's why I'm really trying to bring it up.
Yeah, but I don't think that's because of maturity of the nation. I think we were just busy. We were just busy.
And distracted.
You understand? I mean, every day you could get something shocking and jarring to see. Hey, but wait now, what's this?
Yeah.
Every day, dog. Today, I see a picture of, I guess, some guy named Kyle, I think, who they see as a worker with, I think somewhere down south. And, yeah, boy. Man, get murdered and piece of the man neck and face missing, dog.
Wow.
Yeah, I say every day you could see something jarring. You could just open a WhatsApp group and like, hey, whoa, what's this? You understand what I'm saying? So
I was exit them group, so yeah, I don't play that. I don't want people dealing with my mental health like that. I didn't ask for that, bro. If I wake up in my nice peace of mind, I don't need to see a man get spray up 5,000 times. Like, let me have my coffee. You know what I mean? Let me breeze out. Let me meditate. I don't need to see that, bro. So I just exit them groups immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, I was like, every day you could see something that could, like, as you're talking about the shooting in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing new.
Yeah.
But they capture it on video.
Yeah.
And see men just barking down the road, boy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that late in the night, and I mean, some make a wonder, boy, so I sent my child in the shop, boy.
Yeah, boy. I mean, like you say, not new. When I lived in Laventille is when I experienced it the most. My daughter was just when I moved from Laventille, when I moved back to Belmont, she was a baby still. So I didn't have to worry about if I had to send her in the road or wherever. But it was worse than Belmont now, it considerably. And so I know how frightening it could be, or how not frightening, but how uncomfortable it could be, where you can feel like anytime you could just be, going about your business and have to duck and roll. You understand? So that's where we reach as a nation, boy.
Yeah, boy, dog, boy.
But yeah, now, kind of weird thing to close off on or to come in with after this, but I don't remember. I know you would have been a huge fan. Your boy Kevin Samuels.
Yeah,
I know.
But why is it I would have been a huge fan?
That's you.
Why is it that man?
That's you.
All right, so obviously I'm not happy with how people treat him with the situation.
But he was a huge fan.
No, I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of Kevin Samuels. I've watched his videos, and I would agree that a lot of the times I kind of disagree with his delivery. I think what you're saying made sense, but a lot of times I disagree with his delivery. No, the thing is, I also understand that people sign up for that. He ain't coming out here and talking about all women. You call him.
Well, he did make a lot of sweeping generalizations about all women.
Right. So he makes. But
even when he's not talking to a caller,
right?
Yeah, he when he's talking in general, like giving general advice, he does make some sweeping generalizations about women.
Right. All right. On particular topics, or whatever the case may be. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think plenty of those generalizations are wrong. I think it might be based on where they are, what they experience, where they are, what he's exposed to.
My problem with him is that I found a lot of things he said were applicable to humans, to a certain type of human being, period. And it was kind of, in my view, myopic to stick to kind of always imply that women alone had these these flaws, you know what I mean, or these idiosyncrasies. He had a way of making it. And when I thought about it, I think he could have a lot of things he said specifically about women could have been tendencies he could have drawn for in humans, not just women.
Well, the thing is,
and I think that is what kind of got some people angry.
Well, I think a lot of people who got angry, and I will always say this, a lot of people who got angry is because a lot of people didn't take in much of Kevin Samuels. If you watch Kevin Samuels long enough, you realize that he said the same thing with men, or not the same thing.
No. That's different. That's different. I know what you're going to say. He would hold women accountable, but also hold men accountable. But what I'm saying is, he used to say certain things about women, general, about the way women behave, that I think were also applicable to men. Not just, okay, well, yes, he used to tell women, well, if you can't be a 2 and want to get a 10 man, and he could tell men, you can't be a 2 and want to get a 10 woman. That's true. He used to ask everybody to be accountable, but you would say things about the way women behaved and specify it as if women did that. When I felt, I know a lot of bitch made men, bro, and that's not that tendency you're attaching to women is something that could be attached to everyone, or to me, people of low character in general,
right?
And that was my issue with him.
As I say, my thing is, for the woman who he would have, because most people who just argue about it, just argue about the woman he told all the time and shit.
Or the things he would say about women in general. Yeah.
And if that do apply to you, press on with your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Same thing with if he says something about men in general. Or if a woman says something about men in general, I press on in my life.
No, but I mean, to be fair, I think if there was a woman who was going around who was being like a female version of him. I mean, I'm not saying you would sit and write posts and get real heated and irritated, but you would have a dislike.
I would ignore it. I'd be like,
yeah, but you'd have a dislike. The people, right? The people,
and my thing is, that's fine. You check something out. It's not something you agree with. You dislike it and you move on. Or you're in your mind, this is not for me. I do agree with this. And I move on. But I do have to hold hate in my heart for that person. That when the person die, I could see it good for you and make all kind of weird comments about your death and whatever the case may be.
By social media now, eh?
Right? That was saying, and that is the whole weirdness.
Well, I think what they would feel is like, well, all that talk, and haha, look, you're dead.
And yeah, so I mean,
but you're the kind of person who would normally say, well, if you don't have nothing good to say about people in life, why you go lie about them when they're dead? Well, and if you would probably say things about people, you happy certain people dead.
No,
well, if the person hurt you, if something the person say, well, it insult into why they can't be happy.
So let me give you let's as we on it, right? Somebody we know died recently. I wouldn't go too in depth in it, and I had my whatever negative feelings towards the person that you know of, right? And I wouldn't talk about it, or I wouldn't come out and say nothing like that. I might just not say anything at all. You understand what I say? You understand? But for me to...
Well, that's out of your character. That's out of character for you. Because you would normally be the person to say, well, boy, if I didn't like you, I go let you know I glad you did.
But the thing is, if I'm...
I go let people know I glad you did.
But the thing is, if I was in that situation, I think probably when I was 3 years younger, that is... No, I...
Well, them people ain't reached there yet.
Yeah,
so
no,
get them a blind.
I know, I just...
No, listen, I am not a Kevin Samuels hater, you know. I just... One of the things I couldn't stand about his defenders was that I felt they were just, in many ways, just as inattentive to what he was saying as the people who didn't like him. Because they would kind of venerate him like he was a saint, and everything he was saying was on point. And the other people would kind of, make it seem as if he was they demonize him like he was Satan. When in fact, there was a little bit in between. He said some things that might make some sense, some things
and he said something that was off.
That was, yeah, just did. And apart from just me disagreeing, they just, in my view, they were not factual. You know what I mean? It was like he was making some assumptions that he felt were real rational and logical. I didn't feel they were.
As I was telling somebody the other day, do you think a lot of the things you're seeing it and how you're seeing it is because the man, I think he made his money off of well, he got his popularity off of YouTube and making YouTube money, and then being able to give people consultancy for a cost. But during them, you could put a decent cost on that when they get popularity, and you realize that polarization brought us.
No. I from what I've heard, he has always been like that. People who knew him from before say that was not persona.
Nah. It have videos where the man was not like that. It have videos where the man was speaking to people and he was not speaking like that.
Well,
and he wasn't so abrasive. He wasn't so stern. He didn't have these what do you call it, boy? Real
but he was an image consultant. He was an image consultant before, but he was not a relationship consultant. So he wasn't talking about things like that. But from what I heard, he had always had those views, right? Now, he might not have been, talking to women or getting into relationship consultancy and maybe, or not really relationship consultancy, but what he was doing, that YouTube vibe. But from what I understand, from what I've seen people say, he kind of always had those views, right? And I don't think anything's wrong with that. I don't think anything is wrong with telling people the truth in the way that he was telling them. Now, listen, that's the thing I had the least problem with. How he was saying what he was saying to anybody. Because especially when it came to women, I think he fed off of the attitude he was getting.
Right.
Right? And I think maybe he wanted it to be a little antagonistic so it would be more interesting. But he would normally be greeted with a lot of venom. So he just responded in kind. And he was just saying things the way he saw it. I don't see a reason to say it any differently. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was having personal conversations. He's not a therapist. Right, you know what I mean? Yeah. He was having conversations with people who calling him in on a radio show. So I didn't see any problem with that. And one of the things I hated about the way people responded was that he never, to me, wasn't really given advice on how to live your life, bro. He seemed to me like he was just explaining to you what's reality. You are coming to him saying, this is what I've been doing and I can't get. And he's just saying, well, this is why.
And that's the saying, and is because at the end of the day, it's his perception of reality, because probably what he has been around. And obviously sometimes there's exceptions to the rule, and he would admit that as well. Right? And the thing is, people do those things with other situations in life, and nobody's want to kill anybody. Because, people say, well, you don't have a good job, well, you should probably work harder. You should have gotten a good education. You understand what I'm saying?
But in reality, there are obviously many people who could have done that and still failed. Exactly. But he was just telling you, listen, if you are asking me why you are unable to keep a man, well, I just tell you this is the reality. Don't argue with me, argue with reality. If you're asking me why I'm a successful woman and I'm this and I'm that and I have all this money and still can't find a man. Well, because man don't want that.
And right.
You could argue with the heavens, you could shout at the sky and wish that could change, but I just said, why? So why they'll argue with him so because I'm telling you that, so what we back in the Stone Ages, bro, don't argue with me. I just telling you, that's not what a man wants. Yes, there might be 1, 2, 3, 10 of a million men who don't mind, but not what are you talking now? All those things you listed as the qualities there, the average man don't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit.
Clearly, if he did,
you wouldn't be talking to me. He wouldn't be having this argument right now. So that's all he used to, and people used to argue with him but that's something humans love to do, argue with reality. Like this just is the way it is, bro. Don't argue with me. I'm simply telling you this is what it is. And that's why I couldn't understand, the man isn't telling you the way it should be. He's not telling you the way the world, he's not telling you how to live your life. He's simply telling you, well, bro, if this is what you're looking for, like when the man who he called the fat fuck or whatever, what you want me to tell you, bro? What you want me to tell you?
Man, looking for $800 a month.
Is it $800 you're looking for?
Yeah, $400 a fortnight.
Fucking hell, really serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess if you're living in another house, no rent to pay. Because I think he was a youth man,
Yes, you see he was in his 20s, but I mean, It's still hard to get IG models without money. Though.
Is that what you're asking for IG
Yeah,
models?
you're looking for grade 8 and 9 girls. So
But he didn't say IG models.
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Right. And he was wondering why he couldn't.
Yeah.
We want to tell we want that man tell you though. You really asking me that question? What bait you throwing out there to catch a 9 or 10 or 8 or whatever? So that's why I couldn't take with people like, why are you arguing? He's simply telling you, and if he was wrong, then you would see a bunch of happy women out there, not so?
And if he was wrong, he would not be so popular.
No, it could be popular and wrong. It could be real popular and real wrong. But I mean, if his description of like the fundamentals of why relationships end up the way that they end up, if that was wrong, then they wouldn't have anybody. People would be calling into him on numerous occasions. Hey, you talking shit, dog? I am happily married. Now he might, to be fair, some people might have called him and told him that he would probably say some shit like, yeah, you feel you're happily married, but they bullying on the place or something like that. I'm sure he might have said that.
I've never heard that. I think I've heard him tell people, well, I'm happy for you. I mean, if it work out for you. And he would tell people there are exceptions to the rule or whatever.
Yeah.
Fresh and Fit will say some kind of shit like that. And you know what Fresh and Fit?
Yeah. Them fellas real corny, boy. Them fellas is the epitome of like fake it to make it kind of guys.
And
the idea that you can look at
wacko dog, I think their mental is whack.
I don't know how anybody could look at them and think that they are really what they claim to be. Like, dog, neither one of them fellas have any swag or why would look at them and feel like they could give me any advice on how to be a shutter out here.
What I would admit though, them fellas, and then because they had Kevin Samuels on the podcast, they were on Adam 22 podcast. They made it to Valuetainment podcast.
There was on Academics.
Right.
There was Academics was on them podcast. It was on Academics podcast.
So whatever it is they're doing, it drawing the
yeah, because people dotish. Because people dotish. People are dotish. People listen. That's one thing out here though. If you're not successful in this time, this day and age of the internet, you really have yourself to blame, you know, because people are making it clear to you that they will buy anything. Now, the thing is, you probably can't play that role. You know, I might have too much integrity to play a role. But if you want to make it out here, bro, easy, you know. You just, because, I mean, look at those guys. There is no part of them that gives any sensible fella the impression that they are the kind of guys you should emulate. Right?
And you know, was this is one name boy? Which one I want is Fresh, the darker one now.
I don't know the two. The Bajan one.
Yeah, I know what it is. That he claimed from Barbados.
Right? Claim you only man is talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Claim. I don't think we as Caribbean we want to claim him us. I being real honest with you, no. I mean, I don't want to claim him. I mean,
well, first of all, he had nothing to do with me. I'm from Trinidad, right? So I'm not on this Caribbean thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and even if he was from Trinidad, I don't have nothing to do with he necessarily. But worse yet, he from Barbados, and that have nothing to do with me. You understand? But I am just saying, you hear that man talk, you see that man demeanor, and you go take like relationship advice from him. You will think like, yeah, those two look like alpha males, and I go listen to them, and them they will give me good advice on how to go out there and become what's called him a Chad, you know, a big swinging dick. You know what I mean? I go out there and become a coxman. Them could teach me how to be a coxman, dog. Come on. So that was saying, if you're not out here making it on the interwebs, dog, if you're not doing it, it's really your fault, because them fellas convincing people that this
and taking them money, you know, boy.
Yeah, boy, dog, boy.
And taking them money.
Coaching. Imagine them fellas coaching you, bro.
Yeah.
And all kind of thing come out about them, about how they just be, you know, basically how
paying for girl,
paying for birds, sugar daddies, you know what I mean? Dog, And men still, you still listening to them, but just paying them money, you listening to them. We had to take accountability and said, we not out here rolling in dough. Because it's we fault to us. We could play a role tomorrow. We could play a role tomorrow.
We could fake it.
We could play a role tomorrow and be out there.
I think it could also possibly be the fact that they're in the States. I think there are more gullible people in the States.
But you could be...
If you could reach the States from...
Or you could be a local version. I think if you push hard enough, you could do that here.
I think there are less gullible people here though.
Wait, but it might be a different thing it's a different role to play. But what I mean, the point is you could play a role. You can fake being a certain type of person and garner attention, because that's all it is, That's the name of the game, just attention. And them fellas just get attention by pretending to be something that they clearly not. And they're not even doing a good job of it, and they're still getting fucking attention. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I think what surprised me the most is not just that
we
people...
We could have do it with politics.
Probably.
Yeah, we could have do it with politics. We could have put on a red or yellow jersey and become activists. And before long, as I say, you might make it like them in terms of millions of subscribers and whatever, but we don't make it.
I think, as I say, the thing that puzzles me the most is that people who I think are intelligent, people like Patrick Bet-David and them, when Patrick Bet-David and them had them clungs on value-tainment to us, it's like, what? Why are you entertaining these punks?
Well, I think it's because they have a following, so you want to... in the podcast game is always all about exposing myself to your listeners and you exposing yourself to my listeners and hoping to feed off of each other. I didn't watch the interview, but I would assume that is what would cause it. These fellas causing a stir. They might even know of knowing Patrick Bet-David, he probably asked them about the things that, the criticisms. Because he's do people that. He's like, all right, listen, well, when I was inviting you on here, a lot of people give me flack. They say you did this, they say you did that, they say you did the other.
You know what? I'm on to Tim Pool. It's like, Tim Pool kind of shoot him off, shoot out retarded, but...
Well, I think it's because they have a large audience, so they will get onto places because people... Well, first of all, you need content, so you're looking for people who doing something noteworthy, and you bring them on because, well, hey, I want to know, you are a phenomenon. What's up with that? How did you get where you got? Where's your... You know what I mean? And then, as I say, knowing Patrick Bet-David, he normally is one that grills you about the so because even like when he had the fella who got Joe Rogan in problems, Malone, Dr. Malone, when you had him on the podcast, you had him on, you let him talk or whatever, but then he did, hey, listen, this is what they're saying. You say you're the thing. I looking at the thing on Wikipedia right now. I not seen your name listed. So he may have done the same thing with them. We've heard you all. I've heard you all are fake. You all are this. You pretend to be a girl's man, but there have been accusations about X or Y or Z, and them fellas would have done whatever chucking and jiving that they normally do.
Hey, I need to wrap it up, boy. These punks.
But rest in peace, Kevin.
Yeah, boy. The bird, boy. Before you go, boy, you see the bird that they say was them?
No, I didn't see her, but it was real ironic that that's how he passed.
Yeah, well, I being honest with you, dog, if I had come across that bird, I think I might have pop out 2 pills. Not saying he pop out 2 pills, but I think I might have pop out 2 pills because I would not want to fall short. With that bird, I would not want to fall short, dog. I might have take 2 or 3 pills.
I just think it was real. It made it real easy for his haters to make fun of him now, boy. In the circumstances in which he died.
In terms of what, like...
Well, because, look, you talk a King Coxman talk and... They will kill you.
Yeah, at least you're dead.
But the thing is, they go say you're dead chasing... because the argument, the accusation against it was that, he's an insecure man who looking to build himself up by... being a womanizer or, they'll call it misogynist, but, being a womanizer. And look, it's probably your ego and your desire to, because it was a one-night stand. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Dan, you're 60 years, he was in
57.
He's 60 years old. What you doing What you doing?
How you mean? The man had 2 marriages, dog.
What you doing?
The man was married twice. At this point, that's all he should be doing.
Done.
If I had 2 failed marriages, do you feel like looking to lock down with anybody at 57?
Bro.
I looking to share with dog. Like I was so boy, dog, boy.
Big man, dog. We listen, to me, I if at 50 something years old I had to be chasing birds, I would feel like I made a real issue in my life.
But why are we saying he chasing birds? We don't know the bird thing and link him and the bird must want him and rock and come in us.
Well, he clearly couldn't. He didn't have it.
Yeah, understand, but
he didn't have it.
I could see how you could do that thing there, dog. I could see that, dog. If you really did on that box, boy, dog, boy. Hey, you're a boss. You going shit to heaven, boy, dog, boy. Yeah. That box?
I just think that's a real unfortunate way for somebody like him to die. I think that if nothing says this man was not really a clown, but if nothing says, you see the shit he was promoting, look, all that probably went and take something so he wouldn't flop. You understand? When he old ass should have been fucking looking to chill out with a bird, you know what I mean? In a long-term relationship, but he playing King Coxman thing and
that's one of the points academics was making, because academics was saying, you know, the fact that when the girl called 911, she was unable to even say if it's a house, if it's an apartment, she was unable to, as you're saying, she was probably flustered too, but she was unable to even give the directions to where they were.
Man.
And you're saying, if you're a man in a proper relationship, and that happened to your life might have been
been saved if it was your wife or at least your long-term partner or something. Because I just think at 57, dog, what the fuck are you doing, dog? What you doing?
Nah, you can't say that yet. You can't say that. We don't reach 57.
If die my life at 57, I consider myself a failure, bro. Well, unless I don't want to be chasing. When I say chasing, like one night stand with girl and thing at 57. I mean, even if, okay, well, let's say marriage dissolve or, you know, God forbid something happened to my wife or something. Yeah, you still have urges, so you still need to, you know, but I'm not going to be going to no club and meeting no bird or going online and Tinder to meet no bird for no one night. Are you clung?
Nah, but I could see myself doing that, boy.
Or worse yet if it was a prostitute. Worse yet if it was maybe not a prostitute, you know, but essentially a prostitute. A bird who are wrong you for some dollars. Worse yet. Anyhow.
Yeah, we out. Safe.